have a whole lot on the agenda tonight, but there are a couple things that need to be reviewed. Mr. Trojansky.
I'm ready. Ready to go.
Okay, all right. Before we even begin, I want you to think about the summer schedule. Generally, we have done the vacation schedule the third Wednesday, and I'd like to get some legislation prepared for it so we can make some plans for the summer. So if you have no objection, we can do the third, or if you do have objections, come up with them after the meeting, okay?
Could you tell, I'm sorry, Jackie, the new council people that it was usually the third Wednesday?
I just did,
of-
I
You
thought
did
I
that?
said that. I said that.
Then it went over my head. Sorry.
So, and you know, with the amount of legislation that we have, and the bills and things like that, it really seems to work out okay. So we have June, July, and August, where we only have one meeting during that month. If we go to the legislation 214 to 28, this is the political signage. And being that it is actually only a month away, the primary, I'm going to ask you to consider to pass this on suspension.
Signs should be going up soon. if not
They're
I
up
think they're
already.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think
a
they're
couple
out,
of-
yeah.
We just never had this in the ordinance book,
Right. 'cause
and I've
it was-
had calls from the state asking.
The timing, you mean?
No, we had nothing,
We had nothing, I thought we
not
had.
political signs except the definition.
Okay, all right. Okay. Any of,
What's the purpose of it?
to clarify and limit it, so that the signs aren't here from June to the election. These signs need to be set up at a certain time and come down at a certain time.
Why 30 days and 7 days?
Isn't it the,
Why 30 days
Election
beforehand and
board?
7 days after?
excuse me, Madam Chair, isn't it the Board of Elections?
I don't think
And their laws too is 30 days?
they don't regulate that.
I thought they did.
I think they do. I think it is.
My wife said the same thing.
It's the rule throughout the county, it seems to be. An unofficial rule that everybody seems to follow.
Plus, you can't put them in the right of way, and we get a lot of them on the tree.
The tree lawn, yeah. I was just thinking with early voting, a lot of people are voting by the 30-day deadline. You know, so why not give people 45 days or maybe 60 days and then 7 days afterward? I don't see any harm in that. I wouldn't want to limit someone's free speech for no reason. I mean, if we want to give them time to put up their signs before absentee voters vote.
Actually, that actually just started on the 1st, and we're maybe 2-3 days beyond it, so it really isn't, crucial. Go ahead, Lou.
We really don't limit anyone, like there's been signs up already, and we don't like cite anyone because they already put them up, you know, that's
Right.
okay. And a lot of times you get candidates who lose, and then they don't go back and get their signs because they're a sore loser, and they're like, I don't want to, somebody throw them away, and so it just gives it a little structure, I mean. But we kind of try to work with just about everybody that, you know, is campaigning. But if you, I found out that if you have them up for a longer period of time, they tend to get neglected. They get broken or stolen or, you know, whatever. And then you have like a sign blown around the street, laying in the street, tree lawn, whatever. So it just gives it a little structure, that's all.
Madam Chair, how does 45 days beforehand sound? I think that sounds like a reasonable time. I would like to give people opportunity to put them out, you know, and if someone's looking at the law and they say, well, I can't put up 30 days, but someone else that knows that we don't care, well, then it gives one person a disadvantage or unfair advantage. I think 45 days would be a reasonable time limit.
Well, let's hear from the rest of council.
Yeah, Jackie,
Yes?
Bill, you know, I found out, I've been putting signs up for a long time. 30 days is just about right. A lot of the residents, some that don't put signs out, complain that we have signs out. When you gonna take the signs down? When you gonna take the signs down? And then the longer it goes, the residents where you have signs, they pick them up and throw them in the garbage because they're gonna start cutting grass. They don't wanna keep moving them. And every week, you'll have 30 missing the first week, 50 missing the next week. It just goes down. And I think all you found that out. I think 30 days is fine. People do get tired of them. They get tired of them.
Any other comments?
It also is unsightly.
I'm sorry?
It's unsightly. I mean, I remember just because I'm in the political field now, that I could have 4 or 5 signs in front of my house. And then other people follow suit where they have 2 or 3. And, you know, if they don't take it down themselves or just for it being up, it is a pain taking them down, especially in the springtime when you have to cut your grass and then you gotta stick them back in. And half the time you can't even get them out of your dirt. And that's just me.
Okay.
Madam
Any other-
Chair,
Go ahead.
I'm not sure what those have to do with 45 days, though. We're talking about extending the time out, not how many you can have in your yard or how long they stay up afterward. So I would like to not limit people as much as possible.
Go
We
ahead.
need to check with the board of elections because I thought it was a time, you know, it's not.
I think it is too.
Okay, I thought it was.
They can suggest things, but I don't think they can.
It's the city that does the ordinance.
Okay.
Each city could do their own ordinances. Basically, they should have no control over it.
Because the state's been calling and asking for the ordinance.
The state has? For what purpose?
The people that are running for state
Oh, I
offices.
gotcha.
County.
Mm-hmm.
Richard, did you?
I mean, I think that 30 days, I mean, like, even for example, the last election, I had my signs out for 3 weeks. I mean, after a while, you see signs everywhere and so forth. With regards to early voting, I mean, if you're giving a person the option to vote early, they get the ballot. If they want to support someone, then they can, within that 30-day period, they can put out a sign and so forth. But they have that opportunity to vote early. But I don't think that we should have signs all over the city for 60 days, 45 days. I think 30 days is just enough, period.
Okay, anyone else?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I think the reason why in the past signs haven't been put out before 30 days is because I think, again, in the literature from the Board of Election, I think it states 30 days. And I don't, again, the city having the ability to regulate itself will probably supersede that, but I think that's why signs that go up now before 30 days is because of that. Number 2, I think what Bill is trying to say is for people who early vote, they don't get the opportunity to see yard signs before the earliest possible time they can vote. I don't know if I see an issue either way. I could go either way. Whatever the rest of the majority wants to do.
There might
Whether it's
be-
30 or 45, I wouldn't want to see it no longer than that.
I'm sure there might be a state statute that the county's looking at, and in that case, if we don't have an ordinance on the books, we have to follow. But it doesn't say anything about taking them off.
And unfortunately, it just seems like we've
Well, we
always
kinda
had the
have
30.
John right here, maybe he could speak to it, or the mayor about the time limit.
Can I say something before you do that?
Yeah.
Signs don't vote.
I'm not
That's
aware
right.
of any statutes addressing the issue. I think it's up to the local community to do whatever they want. But the problem is, we have to pass this on emergency, because otherwise, nobody will get any signs up. If we don't do it tonight. So you guys gotta be on agreement with what you're gonna do there.
What do you mean nobody will get any signs?
Well, if you guys don't pass it tonight, then it goes to April,
Yeah.
you know.
Second reading, third reading, and then
Yeah.
the primary will be over by that time.
You're saying people won't put signs up if we don't pass this?
Well, they might, you know. If they see that, if they read in the newspaper that the city council is squabbling over political signs and when to put them up, they might not, you know what I mean? Whether it's legal or not, you know what I'm saying? They might. People read the newspaper.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, but we do have a motion to suspend the rules tonight. Is that agreeable?
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Okay. All right. 214-29 is the purchasing of rock salt from ODOT, which we have been doing that for a couple of years now, if I'm not mistaken. And does this have to be passed tonight, are you aware?
I don't think so.
It has to go be in by April
Oh,
8th.
that's
Oh,
right,
does
I
it?
did read that, yes, yes.
They
it
just
is.
sent out the notice not more than 30 days ago, and
It was the middle of March they sent it.
yes, so I mean,
Right.
and they say they want it by April 8th if they want to participate in their cooperative purchasing program. So they actually do the bidding process for us, which saves us money, and they get other communities involved, and, you know, hopefully with all the people they have, they can get a better rate. So that's the theory behind it. There are other organizations that did it in the past, but they sometimes were higher than sometimes the state's higher, and sometimes was it NOACA, or was it either NOACA or NOSA, I think NOSA. So, but in any event, this is what the service director recommends, and seems to be the lowest price the last couple of years.
Yes, it has been, right. So, we agree to suspend the rules in order to meet that deadline. Okay,
And we're not spending the money until we actually receive it. We're not participating in the summer program. You know, we're not gonna get salt early, we're just gonna get it in the fall. So we won't actually spend this money until fall. And,
all we're doing is signing up for an intent to
yes,
purchase.
so hopefully by then, we'll know, if our situation will improve.
Okay, 2014-30, and this is the specification with the towing service, and this could be a first reading. Captain Culp, who I talked with this afternoon, is still working on the whole towing issue. So this can be just a first reading for tonight. And if you turn over to your expenditures, there should be the amended list in front of you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
can I go back to this, to the towing one?
sure.
It says on an annual basis, the contract's only gonna be for a year, or it's gonna have renewable years to it, or?
And you know, that's what it has always said, but for whatever reason, we have not done it on a yearly basis. We did it, I think the last time was when we had Stevens, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
It's been a while.
I was in here.
That's right, that was
It's before.
even before then. But it's something that we really should be doing every year.
For the only 4 year, we only,
To get the price down. Otherwise they just
Chief,
raise
do you
it
have any
every year.
comments?
Yes, it's something that we just, it gets lost in the shuffle, and we've had saying two towing companies for the 30 years that I've been here. There's some that come in, but they're, in that ordinance, it'll state the towing rate and stuff like that. And if you don't change it yearly, it's not up to date, stuff like that, so. There's some areas that can be addressed for sure.
And we recently, if you don't remember, recall, we recently updated the actual charges for the storage.
The towing, release paperwork
The paperwork
out of
out of
the
the
police department,
right.
which we probably gained probably about $90,000 by doing that.
Because we were way low.
Yeah.
Right.
and then secondly, it says, it's gonna be advertised, in the newspaper of general circulation. Is that the Plain Dealer? Is that the Garfield News? Is that the Caucus Post? Is it just one? A lot of times it's advertisements happens in a couple of different papers. This seems like it's saying it's only one, and if it is only one, what paper is that?
We haven't decided yet.
It'll probably be the neighborhood.
Yeah, the cheapest
Plain
one, I
dealer
would
is
think.
Way too expensive.
Yeah. But by giving it 3 readings, this will allow, the word will get out that Maple
They're
Heights is
already
looking-
waiting, a
yeah.
couple of the towing companies that I talked to.
Actually, the
they're
neighborhood
waiting.
news seems to be quite, being quite the following these days, it's, even in Bedford they're reading, is it also in Bedford? I don't know.
Who?
It's like people that.
Oh, in the neighborhood news, right?
So it seems to be, it's growing in, its popularity.
Yes. Okay, any other questions?
No, 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 thank you.
Okay, turning over to your expenditures. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes,
2014-36, the NOCA dues, I thought last council meeting, it was suggested that they not be done this year.
What did you say she had? Right. And that's no ACA, no ACA.
Is this the one, or you,
I think our
what did I
numbers-
say, no ACA?
Mhm,
You said no,
Good.
but it's no.
Oh,
action.
okay, I'm sorry.
mhm. Your question is?
So this is, there's no ACA and there's
No.
NOCA. So was the NOCA one that wasn't?
No, it's no ACA.
It's no ACA.
And the explanation from Ed Brin, you should all have a copy of that. Again, it's tied into the rates that we pay by becoming a member of this organization. I have number 38 on that.
I got 36.
Well,
You
the
need to
amended
go-
one,
That's the
the
original.
one that's amended with
That's
your
not the
name on
new
it is the correct numbers, this one. We have to change the numbers sequence.
Another one is 2014-41, $100,000.
That's
It's
the
great
diesel,
legislative
that's
program.
the diesel fuel.
Is that a blanket purchase order for the year?
Yes, yes, that's what it says. 2014 year bulk oil. And if you'll notice, a couple of these are for the full year or half a year, whatever. It seems to be something that Irene talked about a little bit. She wants to do it that way so that it's out there instead of getting a bill here and a bill there. Any other questions on this?
Yes. For the amended number 49, the mandatory radio updates, could the chief
Yes.
explain a little bit
Yes.
more detail?
There's a little bit to explain on that as well, so I'm glad he's here. Go ahead.
I didn't hear which number he said.
Well,
Number 49, chief, for the
Okay,
mandatory radio updates.
Yeah, I don't have that one, but
It's the police department mandatory radio updates.
yeah, our radios, and I'm not a computer geek, so I'll do the best I can with it. Our software on our mobile laptops is XP. As of April, I think, 9th of next week, it won't be supported by Microsoft. That's also our leads into the computers that go to Columbus and the FBI. So they will not allow us to use those. So this cost here is to update those laptops. Also, there's a couple on here. 47 and 48, those are like hard drive things. We don't have the storage anymore, and so these are to update the storage so we can store that in our hard drives.
Those are the first two on the amended list.
The old
Right.
47 and the old 48.
right,
Okay.
actually, there's 36 and 36.
Actually,
Nobody knows what number they want.
Well, this
I
was
didn't get
changed
the
3
amendment.
different times, so it's a little confusing.
It was amended and,
Right, but I also was under the impression that this was for the total year.
Yeah, that's to update the computers. What's the cost on that one? Because I don't have a copy of it.
47,000.
47,000?
How many laptops is that, chief?
We have 10, and then we have, I think, 3 of them in-house that we have to change over. But they're tough book computers. I mean, they're like about 5,000 a piece, you know, so we probably get some deal with that price there.
So this isn't a software upgrade.
both
Well-
software and hardware.
Our computers with an XP on it, we've been told by, you cannot change that internally. You know, like if it's XP and make it Microsoft 8, they got too many problems trying to get that done, so, the computer has to be changed,
So these old tough books are useless now.
basically. I mean, somebody probably could use them if they don't hook them up to like League's computers and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they'd have to be cleaned, or whatever they call it, like something like that.
So that's for 10 tough books and 3 desktops.
Right.
And that includes all the hardware and software,
Right.
including the
Right.
state access to the federal and the state databases that they get, like FBI information, records, leads information for the driving records.
They
That's
won't
why
let
it's
us
so
get on
expensive.
Leads if we don't have that. We have XP. So.
Anthony, you have a question?
I'm a little concerned about the disposal of those old laptops, is it in the contract that this company disposes of them? Because I think they should do that. Okay, because I got an issue with disposing of them, because who knows what's gonna happen.
Well, we'll wipe them clean before we
Well,
get
there's, to be honest with you, there's no such thing as wiping it clean. The only way you can do,
pull hard drives.
pull the hard drives, take a magnet and smash them. That's the only best way to
That's
do
what we
it.
do.
Yeah.
We pull them out and then sell whatever's left and then tell them that there's no hard drive in the computer.
There you go.
So there's little value in using computers.
Right.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Ron?
Madam Chair, close to $50,000. Is this something that the financial director was made aware of as she was doing her budget?
Absolutely. And I think this is going to come out of the computer fund from the mayor's court and possibly some drug money used in it. We'll see.
We also have an IT man. I don't know if you recall him. Some of you might not have met him. He hasn't been around for a long time because he isn't on the staff, but he does come in and he does monitor, gets good prices for us, and we have a contract that we approve for him. So he would be the other person that would monitor some of this, I'm sure.
He's the one that we really get the specs from and stuff.
Yes, yes, Dan Cavallo.
And he shopped around, and this is the lowest and the best price you
Good.
can get.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So, Chief, piggyback off of Mr. Jackson's question, when did we become aware that we're going to need to update these?
I know we were told probably that XP wouldn't be supported, last year sometime?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Caucus said we did.
So this was figured into the analysis for the year's expenses before we passed appropriation?
The problem was where do we come up with the funds to do that?
Right.
Uh-huh.
We're just trying to defer the cost as long as possible, to be honest with you. And this is about it, because
There were some things with this new dispatch center, possibilities,
Mhm.
that we were gonna maybe get some mobile units, but that didn't materialize.
Mhm.
So now we're where we're at.
Okay.
And every other city's in the same boat we are.
So this $47,000 was already figured in to account when we did our appropriations?
At this point, I did ask that Captain Culp, and he said, yes, Irene was on board with this. And he also said that he didn't want to bring it forward previously because of the budget concerns that we had. So, and she seemed to be okay with it.
She was okay with it? That's not what I'm asking, so she was okay with it. Was it figured into the original appropriations plan that was brought forward?
Yeah. I would assume so, yes.
I know when I did my part of the budget, given what we needed, this was told, so
Okay.
I mean, she was aware of it.
Very good.
just a heads up, I think the city hall computers are gonna all need updating too, because we have the same system in city hall, but the police are more important at this point than we're
But the one
probably.
in legal is, if it's leads, we're interconnected now, we won't be able to use it.
The legal and the court one are already done, are gonna be done as part of this as well. The rest of the people will be, the problem is hackers trying to get into this stuff. There's no more firewalls especially for the police.
Good. Okay, any other questions? Yes.
Yes, Madam Chair. And what system are you thinking about going to? 7 or 8 or 8.1?
I think so.
I think it's 7, something, to be honest, I don't know.
I think we talked about that. I think 8, some people like 8's a little harder to use if somebody has 8.
I have 8.
And some people like 7 better because I think it's 7, to be honest with you. We talked about that, just because people are more familiar with it. 8's kind of like learning a whole new system from right here, but I'm not.
Isn't that valuable?
And 8 or 8.1, isn't there monitors then have to be purchased too because it's part touchscreen?
I have a
You don't have to use
computer that
touchscreen. You can use a
doesn't
pointing
have
device.
laptop,
Okay.
touch.
What would you recommend?
These laptops for the cars are
They have to
touchscreen.
be touch.
It's better. It's better.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what John just said. Okay, so we're good with that, unless there are any other questions? No? Okay, good. I think that's all I got. Anybody else have anything they'd like to bring forward? Now's the time. We have time.
Maybe thinking ahead a little bit, if you want to you think of it, so you guys aren't surprised with the legislation. Chief, we're gonna have something where the Attorney General, we're gonna ask for the permission for either him or the mayor to execute a contract with the Attorney General to help us collect some ambulance bills that are outstanding. For example, we have one that, no, I think it's very low cost to us. It's much cheaper than a law firm would charge. And
Our Attorney General has a debt collection service they started.
North Olmsted's doing it,
Right,
aren't they?
classes are getting
I heard
involved
that.
with it, and, it's, I know I specifically did for the ambulance billing, because I think our collections agency that we're using, I got a report today, we got $60 from them.
like for
And so this is another way to get the people that walk away, that gets tied to anything, if they have any casino winnings, if the lottery winnings, if they, you know, try to buy a house.
maybe even
total-
tax refund.
It's all on there, we get our money up front first, and then this, our Attorney General tacks on 10% fee for their service, and there's no cost to us. So it's just another avenue I'm trying to do to get as much revenue as we can get come back into the city.
Can they do property tax?
I don't think so. I thought that was one of
Long
them.
shot.
I can't do it. They got some stipulations, like it's a juvenile, we can't do it,
Right.
you know, there's certain things.
I have a copy if you want me to put in your boxes now, if you want to, so you can get a head
No,
start.
those
on it.
other suburbs that are
Yeah.
using it, which is good.
And you're going to bring that forward next time?
Next,
Okay, very good. Which reminds me, we do have a work session on Monday, and we will be meeting with NBIS, and also Rick LeConte will be in to talk a little bit about his legislation that he is trying to revise for the rental registration. And that will be Monday, City Hall, 6 o'clock. Okay. Now, have you thought a little bit about vacation? Third Wednesday, okay? Yes, yes, yes? Yes,
You
no?
go to one meeting a month, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did explain it.
Oh.
I gave him 15 minutes to think about it. Okay, we'll do legislation then for the third Wednesday unless you have objections. Okay.